publicly traded tech giant just posted a record-breaking quarterly revenue of nearly $640 million.
Which is an insane number for Q1.
Right. And in literally any other era of modern business, that kind of cash flow triggers a very predictable sequence of events. You know, you pop the champagne in the boardroom, you aggressively expand your footprint, and you launch a massive hiring spree to keep that momentum going.
Because you want to capitalize on the growth.
Exactly. But instead, this company turned around and immediately fired 20% of its staff.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, 1,100 people gone. And this was right on the heels of their most profitable quarter.
It really completely breaks the established rules of corporate gravity. I mean, we are used to seeing mass layoffs when a company is bleeding cash.
Right.
Or failing to adapt, not when they're dominating their sector.
Which is why we're diving deep into that paradox today. So we got our hands on a really incredible briefing from Bizy Weekly, and they document what they're calling the AI displacement wave.
It's a great report. Very eye-opening.
Oh, absolutely. And our mission for this deep dive is to look at 3 very stark, real-world examples from their research that show how artificial intelligence is actively restructuring the economy. We aren't talking about, 5-year projections or theoretical white papers here.
No, this is happening right now.
Right now, we're talking about actions being taken today that change how companies are built, who they employ, and ultimately how you, the listener, consume the media around you.
And the time frame is what really stands out in this briefing.
Yeah.
I mean, we are watching foundational shifts in corporate architecture happen between quarterly earnings calls.
It's essentially an industrial revolution happening in a matter of months rather than decades, which means if you're listening to this, whether you are trying to climb the corporate ladder or maybe you feel totally untouchable because your department is highly profitable.
Which is a false sense of security, honestly.
Or even if you just spend your commute listening to audio content, the ground rules are shifting underneath you faster than you might realize.
Yeah, no one is really insulated from this.
Okay, let's unpack this. I want to start with a set of statistics from the briefing that honestly made me do a double take.
The code generation numbers.
Yes. We are looking at the sheer volume of software code that is no longer touched by human hands. Like, Airbnb is reporting that nearly 60% of their company's code is now AI written.
60%.
Yeah. And Shopify is sitting at 50%, and Google is at a staggering 75%.
Which is just a massive volume of output.
It is, and alongside that data, the briefing highlights Coinbase. They recently cut 14% of their headcount and completely flattened their internal structure down to just 5 management layers.
Right, they basically hollowed out the middle of the company.
Exactly. And major consulting firms are actively pushing their other clients to do the exact same thing. Now, I have to push back on the traditional narrative here because we've always been told that automation targets the bottom of the pyramid first.
Like factory workers or data entry clerks.
Right, the entry-level grunts, the repetitive manual labor. But this data implies the displacement wave is actually gutting the middle. It's like taking all the middle gears out of a clock. Suddenly, the top executives are connecting directly to the bottom output.
What's fascinating here is the mechanical relationship between that AI-generated code at places like Google and the immediate destruction of management layers at places like Coinbase.
How so? Because those seem like 2 different things.
Well, for the last 40 years, the assumption was that middle managers were safe from automation because their jobs involved coordination and oversight.
Right. They weren't turning the wrench. They were making sure the wrench turners were on schedule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you look at the actual daily workflow of a mid-level engineering manager, a massive portion of their week is spent reviewing code written by juniors.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they're checking it for syntax errors, ensuring it aligns with the broader project architecture, routing tickets between different departments, things like that.
So it's essentially quality control and translation. You have executives at the top who provide the strategy and developers at the bottom who write the product.
Right.
And the middle manager's job is simply to translate the strategy into daily tasks and check the bottom layer's work before it goes live.
And that translation layer is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
And it's slow. But look at what happens when an AI agent generates 75% of the code.
The need for the manager disappears.
The nature of the output fundamentally changes. An advanced coding model doesn't make typos. It doesn't, misunderstand the architectural parameters it was given in the prompt.
Right. It doesn't need a weekly stand-up meeting to discuss its blockers.
Exactly. The vast, time-consuming machinery of human oversight suddenly has nothing to oversee. If AI is generating the output, The need for human managers to coordinate that middle-tier production vanishes. So if your job is managing people, your job description is fundamentally changing right now.
I mean, I see the efficiency there, but surely an executive isn't just typing build a new Google Maps feature into a prompt and pushing it directly to the public. There has to be some human intervention to make sure the software actually solves the user's problem.
Well, yeah, you still need this strategic vision at the top to define the problem, and you need a highly skilled human arbiter at the end of the line to say, yes, this solves the problem.
Right.
But you do not need the 5 layers of project managers, team leads, and divisional coordinators that used to sit between the idea and the final product.
So it's just top and bottom now.
Pretty much.
Yep.
A single senior engineer armed with an enterprise AI can now dictate the architecture, have the AI generate the boilerplate, test it, and deploy it all by themselves. The people who are employed simply to pass information back and forth between silos are finding their roles completely evaporated.
So if your entire job description revolves around managing people, assigning daily tasks, monitoring output, the value of that specific skill set is just cratering. You either need to be the person setting the high-level strategy, or you need to be the final human doing the complex quality control. You cannot just be a gear in the middle anymore.
Which brings a massive structural question to the forefront. When a company like Coinbase flattens its hierarchy and eliminates all those expensive middle layers, they save hundreds of millions of dollars in payroll.
Oh, yeah. Massive savings.
Right. And historically, the social contract of corporate capitalism dictates that these savings, combined with new technological efficiencies, lead to broader expansion.
Right, because the company gets more efficient, they make more money, they launch new products, and so they hire a bunch of new people to staff those new divisions.
Yeah.
That has been the cycle since the Industrial Revolution.
The tool augments the worker, the company grows, and headcount goes up.
But if middle management is being gutted to create efficiency, what happens to the broader workforce when these AI efficiencies actually result in massive financial success?
Well, that historical cycle is exactly what the Bizy Weekly briefing calls into question.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the briefing provides a case study that completely shatters that old logic, and it goes back to the company we mentioned at the very beginning of the deep dive.
Cloudflare.
Cloudflare. They are a massive player in web infrastructure and security. So they recently cut 1,100 jobs, which was 20% of their entire global staff.
And this wasn't a company in distress.
Not at all. This was their first mass layoff in 16 years. They survived the 2008 financial crisis without slashing their workforce. They survived the global pandemic without slashing their workforce.
Yeah. 2 major economic disasters.
And they held on to their people. But then they cut a fifth of their staff right after reporting a record first quarter revenue of $639.8 million. And the CEO explicitly tied this restructuring to a 600% increase in their internal AI use over just 3 months.
A 600% jump. That is wild.
It is. Usually, record profits of over $600 million mean hiring sprees and champagne. How do we make sense of a company surviving 2008 and the pandemic without mass layoffs, only to slash 20% of their workforce during a period of record-breaking revenue?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we uncover the harsh reality of the AI displacement wave.
Yeah.
Productivity gains from AI don't protect human jobs. They replace the very reason to have those jobs in the first place.
Explain that a bit more, because it sounds counterintuitive.
Sure. To understand the Cloudflare paradox, we have to look at what those 1,100 people were likely doing and how productivity metrics have fundamentally mutated.
Okay.
In the old model, productivity gains were about making a human worker more effective.
Right.
You give an accountant spreadsheet software, and now they can handle 20 clients instead of 5.
Right. The firm makes more money, and because they want to handle 100 clients, they hire 4 more accountants.
Exactly. The human is still the engine of growth. The software is just giving them a better wrench.
Okay, but AI isn't a better wrench.
No, the internal AI use that Cloudflare's CEO is talking about doesn't give the worker a better wrench. It replaces the function entirely. Let's look at enterprise sales and support, which are usually massive headcount centers for companies scaling up.
Yeah, huge departments.
If you bring on thousands of new enterprise clients to hit that $640 million revenue mark, you historically needed an army of support staff to triage their technical issues, route their network configurations, manage their accounts.
That scaling infrastructure requires human bodies.
It does. So your operating costs scale linearly with your profits. If you want 50% more revenue, you generally have to hire 50% more support staff and middle managers.
But a 600% increase in internal AI use over 90 days means they integrated artificial intelligence directly into those enterprise workflows.
Exactly. Complex customer queries, automated security patch deployments, network routing optimizations tasks that used to require a floor of mid-level engineers and support staff now require an API call. The AI can scale infinitely to handle the new influx of clients without requiring a single new desk, health insurance plan, or HR department. What Cloudflare realized, and what the broader market is now rewarding, is the uncoupling of headcount from revenue growth.
Uncoupling headcount from revenue growth. That is a chilling phrase if you are an employee. It means the foundational link between corporate success and your personal job security has been completely severed.
It completely reframes the entire concept of corporate loyalty and stability. During the 2008 crash and the pandemic, companies held on to their people because human capital was the only vehicle they had to eventually recover and grow.
People were the physical engine of future profit. You don't sell your engine when the road gets bumpy.
But today, the algorithm is the engine. You can look at a phenomenally healthy balance sheet, see record profits, and still be totally expendable because the balance sheet is healthy due to the algorithm absorbing your function, not because the company is preparing to invest in more human infrastructure.
That drastically changes how you evaluate your own career path. You can't just look for a profitable company and assume you are safe by association.
Not anymore. You have to evaluate whether your specific daily function is a cost center that a language model can mimic.
But this efficiency isn't just staying locked behind the closed doors of enterprise software companies, is it?
No, not at all. AI isn't just changing who is producing the work inside these massive tech companies. It's fundamentally changing the final product being delivered to the end user.
Right, because the mechanisms of mass generation become cheap enough to distribute to everyone, which brings us to the media landscape.
This is where it gets really personal for a lot of people.
It really does. The briefing highlights a new feature from Spotify that allows users to generate private AI-generated podcasts. And we aren't talking about a robotic text-to-speech voice just reading a Wikipedia page.
No, the voices sound incredibly natural.
You feed it highly personal prompts, so you can upload a 50-page PDF of your college biology notes or your calendar briefings for the week or some obscure research paper.
And it synthesizes that raw material into a conversational custom audio show just for you.
It's crazy. The hosts banter, they make jokes, they explain complex topics. And Spotify isn't alone here. Google is doing the exact same thing with Notebook LM, and Adobe is integrating similar generative audio tools.
That technology is everywhere now.
So what does this all mean for the concept of media? It feels like having a bespoke morning radio DJ who only cares about the mundane details of your specific life, like only your biology notes and your 2 p.m. meeting.
This raises an important question about the fundamental value of media production in the modern age. Because since the invention of the printing press, and certainly since the invention of broadcast radio, the model has always been one-to-many.
A few highly skilled producers and hosts create a piece of content, and millions of people consume the exact same artifact.
Exactly.
And that shared artifact creates a shared reality. You listen to a deep dive, your coworker listens to the same one, and you debate the ideas in it at lunch. It is a unifying cultural touchstone.
But hyper-personalized AI audio completely inverts that model. It is a many-to-one architecture. The AI draws on vast amounts of data to create an artifact that is consumed by an audience of exactly one.
Just you and your headphones.
Right. And the technological hurdle of producing high-quality conversational audio has dropped to absolute zero. It is a commodity now. If Spotify and Google can instantly spin up a charming, intelligent-sounding host to summarize your meeting notes, then the act of audio production itself is no longer a premium skill.
So if the production, the actual talking and synthesizing is a cheap commodity, what actually retains value in this ecosystem?
The only thing that retains premium value is the original, raw content being fed into the prompt, the fuel for the machine.
Okay, so who creates the original raw content?
Exactly. The AI host can banter beautifully about a novel scientific breakthrough, but they cannot conduct the actual science or write the initial research paper.
Right.
They can give you a brilliant summary of your new marketing strategy, but they cannot conceptualize the strategy based on human nuance and market relationships.
So it essentially turns the AI into a highly advanced printing press. You shouldn't be intimidated by the printing press, but you do need to make sure you are the author writing the book that goes into it.
That is the perfect distinction. As the production of media becomes infinitely scalable and customized, original thought, raw data, and genuine human insight become the most valuable currency available.
Because the machine can't fake the original insight.
Right. If your job, or even your hobby, involves simply summarizing other people's ideas or repackaging existing information, you are competing directly with a free algorithm that can do it instantly and tailor it to the listener's exact preferences.
Which honestly sounds a bit isolating. If everyone retreats into their own hyper-personalized audio bubbles, listening only to synthesized summaries of their own lives, their own notes, and their own hyper-specific interests, the media landscape fractures into billions of isolated
It's
realities.
basically the ultimate fragmentation of the public square. I mean, you gain unbelievable efficiency for studying or prepping for a workday.
Yeah, imagine uploading a dense financial disclosure and listening to a witty 10-minute breakdown of the risks while you drive to work. The utility is undeniably huge.
It is. But the trade-off is the loss of common context.
Let's pull all these threads together because the picture this Bizy Weekly briefing paints is cohesive, and honestly, it's pretty intense when you look at it all at once.
It is a lot to take in.
It is. So, we started with the collapse of the middle. AI is aggressively flattening the corporate ladder, pulling out middle management layers because the software can now handle its own coordination and quality control.
Right, which we saw with the massive code generation at Google and Shopify and the structural flattening at Coinbase.
Exactly. And from there, we examine how that same technological efficiency breaks the historical link between record profits and job security.
The Cloudflare
The
paradox.
Cloudflare paradox, yeah. It demonstrated that companies can achieve unprecedented revenue growth while simultaneously slashing their human workforce, entirely uncoupling productivity from headcount.
And finally, we saw this displacement wave crashing into our personal lives, turning mass media into hyper-individualized, single-listener experiences on platforms like Spotify.
Where the AI becomes the narrator, leaving the human as the crucial source of original thought.
Yes.
For you listening, regardless of what industry you work in or what your technical background is, these structural shifts are not waiting in the wings. They are actively rewriting the rules of your daily life right now.
From how you work to how you consume information.
Right. The way your boss manages you, or whether that management layer even exists anymore, is changing. The way you evaluate your job security at a profitable company is changing. Even the way you study your own notes or consume information is being filtered through this new paradigm.
And the challenge for anyone navigating this is to look at your daily routines with clear eyes. You have to aggressively identify where the new value lies, in high-level strategy, original thought, final human arbitration, and pivot away from the obsolete functions of translation and simple summarization.
I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over before we sign off today. We've talked extensively about the incredible efficiencies gained by AI. We gain speed when we replace those collaborative middle management layers at work where people used to, bounce ideas off each other and catch mistakes in the break room.
Yeah.
And we gain convenience when we replace mass broadcast media with these hyper-personalized audience of one audio bubbles. But if our workplaces are systematically stripped of human coordination layers and our media consumption is stripped of shared cultural narratives,
Are we losing our shared reality?
exactly, are we efficiently optimizing away the very shared experiences that actually connect us as humans? It's something to think about the next time you put your headphones in.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.